square that concern for waste, which I share, with the fact that you have spent $220 million running television advertisements. I believe you have a policy, Madam Secretary, that you have to approve all contracts at your department over $100 million.
No, sir. I have a policy in place that I review contracts. My deputy chiefs have the ability to review anything under $5 million. Above that, I evaluate and look at.
Okay. And you do that, I understand, to try to curb waste and abuse of taxpayer money. Is that right?
Yes, sir. In fact, it's been extremely effective. We've saved the taxpayers over $13.2 billion just by evaluating contracts, negotiating lower ones, and canceling ones that aren't necessary to do our duties.
How do you square that concern for waste, which I share, with the fact that you have spent $220 million running television advertisements that feature you prominently?
Sir, the president tasked me with getting the message out to the country and to other countries where we were seeing the invasion come from, with putting commercials out that told them that if they were in this country illegally, that they needed to leave, or we would detain them and remove them, and they'd not get the chance to come back to America the right way. That has been extremely effective.
Ask you to run these advertisements, is that right?
We had that conversation, yes, before I was put in this position and sworn in and confirmed, and since then as well.
Okay. Did you bid out those service contracts?
Yes, they did. They went out to a competitive bid, and career officials at the department chose who would do those advertising commercials.
And the people that you ended up picking were people who had formerly done your political work back in South Dakota. Is that right?
No, that's not correct, sir.
I think it is.
No, it's not, sir. The individuals who, I believe the careers who they chose were two different media firms. There's been conversation about their subcontractors, but we have no legal authority to look into subcontractors on work like that.
Okay. And you're saying that you're testifying that President Trump approved this ahead of time. Is that my understanding?
We had conversations about making sure that we were telling people.
No, ma'am. I'm asking you, sorry to interrupt, but the president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly.
Did the president know you were going to do
OMB.
this?
Yes.
He did?
Yes.
Okay.
And one thing, Senator, I think would be helpful to know is how effective that communications has been. That
Well, they were
overwhelmingly
effective in your name recognition. I mean, I personally just, I mean, to me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot. And and I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. It's just hard for me to believe, knowing the president, as I do, that you said, Mr. President, here's some ads I've cut, and I'm going to spend $220 million running them, that he would have agreed to that. I don't think Russ Vogt at OMB would have agreed to that. It's something we have to defend. I'm on the Appropriations Committee. My research shows that you did not bid them out, that in fact, one of the people you picked, the strategy group, Safe America Media was a company formed 11 days before you picked them, and that the strategy group got most of the money, and the head of that is married to your former spokesperson. Look, we all have friends who are qualified. I'm not quibbling with that. It troubles me. A fifth to a quarter of $1 billion of taxpayer money when we're scratching for every penny and we're fighting over rescission packages. I just can't agree with, Madam Secretary. Are you still running those ads?
No, Senator, I did not have anything to do with picking those contractors. I know politicals at the Department of Homeland Security did.
I understand. Are you
Career
still running
officials
those
followed
ads?
the competitive bid process.
Are you still running those ads?
I think the ads are due to end here in March, I think within a week or two.
they
I'm
are
not sure of the
still
update. The one that is running is focusing on angel families. Have you seen that? It is the one that's talking about this is our why. This is why we work every day.
Okay.
It's for the angel
I've gotta
families and
move
their
on.
victims that need to.
Inside the Senate hearing room, the exchange unfolded with the kind of tension that often reveals more than prepared statements ever could. Senator John Kennedy leaned into the microphone and focused on a number that immediately caught the attention of the chamber. $220 million. That was the amount, he noted, spent on a nationwide television advertising campaign connected to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And in those advertisements, Kennedy pointed out, one figure appeared prominently on screen: the department's secretary, Kristi Noem. The senator's questioning began with what seemed like a simple matter of oversight. Noem had previously explained that she personally reviewed major contracts within the department to reduce unnecessary spending and protect taxpayer resources. According to her testimony, that policy had already saved more than $13 billion by canceling or renegotiating contracts deemed unnecessary. In theory, it was exactly the kind of fiscal discipline lawmakers say they want from executive agencies. But Kennedy's question cut directly to the contradiction he believed he saw. If such vigilance existed over federal spending, how, he asked, could the department justify allocating $220 million to a television campaign featuring the secretary herself? For a moment, the hearing room became a stage for a larger national debate. Secretary Noem defended the campaign as a strategic communications effort authorized by the president. Its purpose, she said, was to send a clear message internationally and domestically about immigration enforcement. According to her explanation, the advertisements were meant to discourage unlawful entry and inform people about the consequences of violating immigration law. She insisted the initiative had followed proper legal procedures and that career officials handled the contracting process. Yet the senator's skepticism lingered in the air. Kennedy pressed further, questioning whether the contracts had truly been awarded through an open competitive process. He cited research suggesting that one of the media firms involved had been created only days before receiving its role in the campaign. Another firm, he noted, had connections to individuals previously associated with Noem's political circle. The implication was not a direct accusation, but it raised the specter of something Americans have debated for generations: the uneasy relationship between political influence and government spending. To the secretary, the explanation remained consistent. Political staff, she said, had no role in selecting the contractors. Career officials followed procurement rules, and the advertisements themselves were part of a broader mission directed from the highest level of government. Still, Kennedy's closing remarks captured the unease many lawmakers feel whenever large sums of taxpayer money intersect with political visibility. He spoke as a member of the Senate Appropriations Committee, the body responsible for scrutinizing federal spending line by line. From that vantage point, he said, every dollar carries weight. Lawmakers battle over budgets, negotiate funding levels, and search for savings in nearly every program. In that context, $220 million is not just another contract. It becomes a symbol of priorities. And this is where the moment transcends the hearing itself. Congressional oversight is not simply about numbers on a ledger. It is about the relationship between power and responsibility. When government agencies spend public money, they are not spending anonymous funds. They are spending the resources of millions of citizens who expect that money to serve the public interest, not the profile of any individual official. That expectation lies at the heart of the American system. The framers of the Constitution placed the power of the purse firmly in the hands of Congress precisely because they understood how easily government authority could expand without scrutiny. Oversight hearings like the one that just unfolded are a modern expression of that principle. They are where elected representatives confront officials, question decisions, and attempt to draw a clear line between governance and self-promotion. But hearings also reveal something else: the tension inherent in democratic leadership. Public officials today operate in a world saturated with media.
I believe you have a
Policies must be
Madam
communicated
Secretary,
quickly.
that you
Messages
have to
must
approve
reach
all
millions of
contracts
people
of your
across
department
continents.
over $100 million.
Government campaigns compete for attention
No, sir, I have a
alongside political
policy in place that I
messaging,
review
news
contracts. My
cycles,
deputy
and
chiefs have
digital
the ability to
platforms
review
that
anything
move
under
at
$5
relentless
million.
speed.
Above that,
In that
I
environment,
evaluate and look at.
the line between
And you do
informing the
that,
public and shaping a
understand,
personal
to try
narrative can become blurred.
curb
That is why moments like
waste
this
and
matter.
abuse of taxpayer money.
Because
Is
when a
that right?
senator pauses
Yes, sir.
in
In
the
fact,
middle
been
of a
extremely
hearing
effective.
and
We've,
asks how
saved the taxpayers
$220
over
million of public
$13.2
money is
billion
being
just by
used.
evaluating
He is
contracts,
not simply
negotiating
questioning a
lower ones and
contract.
canceling ones
He
that
is
aren't
asking
necessary
a
to do our
deeper
duties.
question about accountability.
How
He
do
is
you
asking whether the machinery
square
of
that
government
concern
still operates with
for
the
waste, which
humility
I
that
share,
public service demands.
with
And
the
for
fact
viewers
that
watching
you
this
have,
exchange, the larger meaning
spent
becomes clear.
$220
Democracy is not
million
defined by the absence of
running
controversy.
television
It
advertisements
is defined
that
by the
feature you
willingness to
prominently.
confront it openly.
Sir, the president
The
tasked
hearing
me
room
with getting the
becomes a
message
place
out
where
to the country
competing
and to other
explanations
countries where we
meet
were
the
seeing the invasion
scrutiny
come
of
from.
elected
with
officials
putting
and
commercials out
ultimately
that told
the
them
judgment
that
of
if
the
they were in this
public.
country
In the
illegally,
end, the
that they
question
needed to
raised
leave,
today may
or we
not
would
be
detain them and
resolved
remove
by
them,
a
and they'd
single
not get the
hearing
chance
or a
to come
single
back to America
answer.
the right way.
Investigations continue.
That has been extremely
Budgets are
effective.
debated.
Ask you
Oversight evolves.
to run
But
these
what remains
advertisements, is that
constant
right?
is
We
the
had that
principle that public
conversation,
power
yes,
must
before.
always answer to
I
public
was
accountability.
put in this position and sworn in and confirmed.
Because
and
in
since
the
then as
American
well.
system,
Okay.
leadership
Did you,
is not measured by how
you bid out
prominently a
those-
figure
those
appears
service
on screen
contracts?
Yes,
or
they did.
how
They went out to
widely a message
competitive
is
bid,
broadcast.
And career officials at
It
the
is measured
department
by whether
chose
those
who would,
entrusted with
do
authority
those
remember
advertising
who
commercials.
truly holds
And
it.
the people
The
that you
citizens whose
ended up
taxes fund
picking
every contract. The voters whose voices shape
were people
every
who
election.
had formerly
And the
done your
nation whose
political work back
democratic
in South Dakota,
institutions
is that right?
depend on
No, that's not correct,
transparency,
sir. I-
responsibility,
no, it's not, sir.
and
We-
trust.
the individuals
Moments
who,
like the one we
I
witnessed
believe the
today
careers
remind us
who they
that
chose,
democracy is
were two
not a
different media
spectator
firms.
sport.
There's
It
been
requires
conversation
attention.
about their subcontractors,
It
but
requires
we have
vigilance.
no legal authority to look
And
into
above all,
subcontractors
it
on work like
requires
that.
citizens who are willing
you're
to
saying
watch
that
closely
you're
when
testifying that
power
President
and
Trump
public money intersect.
Prove this ahead of
If you
time.
believe
Something
oversight matters,
We had
if
conversations
you believe
about making sure that
transparency
we were
is
telling
essential
people,
to preserving the integrity of American government, then stay informed.
Ahead of time,
Subscribe to Liberty Report
$220
USA
million
and support our work as
running
we
TV ads
continue to
across the
bring you the
country in
moments
which
that
you
reveal
are
how
featured
power
prominently.
truly
we went
operates
through
in
the
Washington.
legal processes, did it
Did the
correctly,
president
worked
know
with